Have you ever wondered why women are attracted to assholes and not to nice guys? But at the same time, they say they don't like assholes, and there are no good men out there. Why does it seem like if you treat women well, they lose attraction for you, but they seem to be the most attracted to the men who treat them poorly? Even though this behavior seems completely illogical, there is a logical explanation, and after years of searching, I've finally found the answer. The answer has to do with the 4 types of men. Once you understand these 4 types of men, and most importantly, which one you are, you'll understand exactly how to get a woman attracted to you and how to keep her attracted to you. If I asked you to describe the difference between a nice guy and an asshole, what would you say? A nice guy's nice and an asshole isn't nice? Seems too simple, right? Seems like there has to be more to it than that. Do women just not like guys who are nice? If that was the case, you could just be an asshole and women would love you. But if you've ever tried being an asshole, you've probably found that women liked you even less, and I'm about to tell you the reason it works for some guys and not you. But before I do, let me ask you a question. Would you say you care about other people? If you answered yes to this question, then you probably figured being an asshole meant just not caring about other people. But that's only half of the equation, and that's not even the important half when it comes to women. The reason why other guys can be assholes and be attractive to women and you can't has nothing to do with their height, their looks, or their motorcycle, but instead has to do with how much they don't care what other people think. When you tried to be an asshole, you extra cared how other people think, and so you came across as narcissistic instead of assholish. Women are attracted to men who don't care what other people think. That is why women tend to like rebels and mavericks and dislike people pleasers and pushovers. Caring about what people think is much different than caring about people. You can care about people and not care what they think, just like you cannot care about people and still care about what they think, as you might have done when you tried to be an asshole. If we chart out the combinations of these 2 attributes, caring about what people think and caring about people, we get 4 different kinds of guys. Let's figure out which one you are next. I want you to meet my buddy Joe. He's a really nice guy. Everyone says so, especially women. Women often tell Joe that he's such a nice guy and he's gonna make some woman so happy someday. But so far, that hasn't happened. Joe's a really hard worker at his accounting firm. In fact, he's the hardest worker in the entire company. He's such a hard worker that he often does other people's work to make up for the slack, but he doesn't mind. Joe loves helping people, and besides, he really doesn't like it when people are disappointed with him or upset at him, so he always lends a helping hand whenever anyone asks. Joe has gone out on a few dates with some women, but he's always so nervous about whether they'll like him or not, or whether he'll come across as just looking to get laid. So he always tries really hard to impress them by buying them flowers and giving them a ton of compliments and making sure to keep everything respectful on dates. Joe's a typical nice guy. He cares too much about what people think, and he genuinely cares about people. So he comes across as a people pleaser and a pushover. He never really stands up for himself, except when he's had too much and can't stand it anymore, and then he loses his cool and blows up, but he profusely apologizes afterwards. Now I want you to meet my friend Tom. Tom seems to be a nice guy until you really get to know him. When you first meet Tom, he often seems to say all the right things, but somehow everything he says seems to be insincere. Tom runs his own social media agency where he helps people make more money by reaching more people and building credible brands they can trust. At least that's what he says he does, but he doesn't seem to have customers for very long. He makes a lot of sales, but all of his clients seem to complain they aren't getting any results, and then they leave. Now, Tom would go out on dates, but as he says, women are a waste of time. They only want chats. The few dates he did go on ended poorly after he spent most of the night bragging about his accomplishments. When women didn't reply to his messages the next day, he became really annoyed and told them they were ugly anyway and asked them to Venmo him half the price he paid for dinner. Tom cares way too much about what people think, but he doesn't really care about people at all. Tom's world is all about Tom. If something doesn't go right in Tom's world, it's always someone else's fault. Tom is always the victim. Randy is the kind of guy that's a lot of fun at parties, but not exactly the guy you want to hang around with when there isn't alcohol involved. He's unreliable, never shows up on time, and he says the most inappropriate things, but that's part of his charm. He just doesn't care. Randy doesn't really have a job. He tends to bounce around from place to place, mostly sleeping on friends' couches or staying the night at whatever girl he happens to be banging that week's place. When he needs a little extra cash, he'll do a few DoorDash deliveries on his motorcycle, which seems to be the only thing he really cares about in life. Randy doesn't really go on dates. Randy tends to pick up women at bars, sleep with them, and then he never sees them again, unless, of course, he needs a place to stay this week. Women seem to flock around Randy wherever he goes, but they often regret sleeping with him. At least I got mine, he always says. Randy doesn't care at all about what people think. He also doesn't care at all about people. Randy does what Randy wants to do and when he wants to do it, and if someone has a problem with it, it's their problem, not his. Bryce, on the other hand, is the kind of guy that leaves a lasting impression. When you meet Bryce, the first thing you'll notice is that he gives you his full attention. When you're talking to him, it doesn't feel like he's trying to figure out what to say next, like most people are. Bryce is a straight shooter. He'll tell you what he likes and doesn't like, but he does it in a way that doesn't come across as abrasive. If you go out to dinner with Bryce, he'll always pay for the check, but you probably won't even see him do it because he never makes a big deal about it. Bryce works as a lawyer in a high-powered law firm. At his law firm, everyone respects Bryce and looks to him for advice because they trust his judgment, and he never seems to lose his cool. Bryce has plenty of success with women, but if you don't know Bryce, you wouldn't know about it because he never talks about it. Every woman that Bryce has ever been with has always said he's the best man they ever met. Women have been trying to lock him down for years, but Bryce has some pretty high standards, and he hasn't found the right girl yet. Bryce is the perfect combination of not caring about what people think and still caring about people. It's a rare combination because it's difficult to not care about what people think, but still care about people. Bryce accredits this mindset to the Stoic philosophy he studied when he was in college. Now that you know the 4 types of men, the big question is, what type of man are you? Leave a comment below and let me know what type of guy you think you are right now. But be honest, not everyone is a gentleman yet, but you can become one if you subscribe to this channel and binge watch all the videos. Just kidding, but not really. Does it make more sense now why nice guys always finish last and assholes always seem to come out on top? It has nothing to do with being a nice guy or an asshole, but instead with being confident in yourself. When you care too much about impressing people or what other people think of you, it's unattractive to women, so most women would rather be with a man that isn't a good man, but his own man, than with a good man who lets everyone walk all over him. But you can become the magical unicorn of a man that all women want if you can combine self-confidence with kindness. But how do you do this? Let's talk about that next. I created a whole video that explains exactly what women desire most in a man using 3 archetypes that you'll instantly recognize. Even if you've already watched the video, you'll understand it better now that you've seen this one. Go watch what women desire most in a man next and see if you can figure out why the maverick, the rock star, and the knight are the perfect combination to make women extremely attracted to you and to keep their attraction forever. Talk soon.